There are big changes happening in the 401k plan, which might end up raising your taxes in 2026. However, for certain people who have lived and worked in both the US and Canada, this actually may not be such a bad thing. We'll discuss your 401k plan and the big changes here in 2026. Hello, my name is Brian Haggard. I'm a certified financial planner, chartered financial analyst, and I'm the founder of RetireMitten Financial. We help simplify your cross-border retirement plan. And for most of our clients, the biggest asset they have in retirement is their 401k plan. It's a huge part of their cross-border retirement, either if they're going to retire here in the United States or up in Canada. And so it's really important that you're making the most out of your 401k plan and making sure those contributions are going into the right place. Today, we're going to talk about the 401k plan. We're going to talk about some considerations if you are a cross border retiree and some of the big changes that might end up raising your taxes here in 2026. So let's just talk about some basics of the 401k plan. A 401k plan is a U.S. retirement plan offered through your employer. If you're new to the U.S., it's somewhat similar to an RRSP plan that may be offered up in Canada, but there are some differences. A 401k plan is funded through payroll contributions. The contributions have to come out of your payroll. You can't just send in a check to fund your 401k on the year. And typically, not all the time, but most, especially larger companies, will offer a matching contribution to your 401k plan. So you'll put in a certain percentage of your salary, and the company or your company may put in a certain percentage as well. Now, there's two big decisions that a person has to make when they're contributing to a 401k plan. That first decision they have to make is either to make pre-tax or Roth contributions into the 401k plan, which we're going to talk about next, and how much should they be contributing to that 401k plan. 401ks allow you to put a certain percentage in or a certain dollar amount in under the age of 50, and then in a catch-up contributions if you're over the age of 50. And that's where the big changes are happening here in 2026. As I just talked about, the first big decision that most people make or have to make when they're contributing to a 401k plan is, do I want to put this money into a pre-tax contributions or do I want to make Roth 401k contributions? So let's talk about the differences. So you have the ability to make pre-tax contributions into a 401k. Pre-tax means that money goes in before taxes. You're getting a tax benefit today by making those contributions, and that money then grows tax deferred for you with the thought that you can then withdraw that money in retirement when your taxes are lower. So, to kind of give you an example, let's say that your income is $100,000 this year and you put $20,000 into a pre tax 401k. Now, instead of you being taxed on $100,000, you're only being taxed on $80,000 because $20,000 went into your 401k with pre-tax. Now, pre-tax contributions typically are better for people that are going to stay in the United States. If you're a cross-border, if you've lived and worked in both the US and Canada, the pre-tax contributions are great if you're going to stay in the US, and they're typically better if you're closer to retirement. If you're thinking about leaving the US at some point and returning back to Canada, typically Roth 401k contributions are going to be a little bit more advantageous. And that's because Roth contributions, you don't get a tax benefit today. The money goes into a Roth account after tax. However, the benefit of the Roth account is that money now grows for you completely tax free, and you have the ability to withdraw that money at a later point completely tax free as well. And that's great for people that might be returning back to Canada at some point. We try to get our clients that we know are returning back to Canada, we try to get as much money into Roth accounts as possible because the thought there is that you can pay taxes today in the US, which is almost always going to be lower than tax rates up in Canada. And then you can withdraw that money up in Canada completely tax free because Canada does recognize the tax free distributions of Roth accounts. The second big decision that you have to make on top of, well, should I be making pre-tax or Roth contributions is how much should I be contributing or can I contribute to the 401k plan? Now, as a rule of thumb, we always try to get people to contribute at least 10 to 15% of your income into a 401k. Ideally 15 to 20, but at least 10 to 15%. But for a lot of people, they can contribute more than that. The contribution limit in 2026 is $24,500. Now, when we talk about these contribution limits, that can be all pre-tax, that can be all Roth, or it can be a combination of both. But anybody under the age of 50 can contribute $24,500 in 2026. Now, if you turn 50 in 2026, or if you're over the age of 50, you can also make an additional $8,000 per year catch-up contribution to your 401k. And for people that are between the ages of 60 and 63, there's this new super catch-up rule in which you can put an additional $3,250 per year in. So they've made this pretty tricky with having three different tiers, but now kind of the limits are this. If you're under the age of 50, you can contribute $24,500. If you're over the age of 50, you can contribute $32,500. But if you're between the ages of 60 and 63, you can actually put a maximum amount of $35,750 into your 401k in 2026. So let's talk about the big changes that are happening in 2026. First, that super catch-up contribution is pretty new as well. That actually took place last year in 2025. But the big change now in 2026 is that catch-up contributions for higher earners, higher wage earners now all have to go into Roth accounts. So if your income in 2025 was over $150,000, the catch-up contributions that we talked about on that previous section now must all go into the Roth contributions, meaning that you can't put all of this money into pre-tax contributions anymore. And now this is based on your W-2 earnings. It's not based on your joint tax return. So maybe if both spouses were working and one spouse earns 200,000 and the other spouse earns 50, then it would only apply to the spouse earning $200,000. They are looking at your W-2 earnings, and this does not impact new employees. So people who are just hired here in 2026, they would be able to put the full amount of their catch-up contributions into pre-tax, no matter how much money they earn here in 2025 and 2026. So what is the result of this new rule? Well, if you were previously maxing out your catch-up contributions and you were putting it all into pre-tax contributions and you're a higher income earner, if you make over $150,000 a year, in all likelihood, your taxes are going up because now if you continue to make those catch-up contributions are all going to go into Roth money. And as we talked about before, Roth contributions are after tax. There's no tax benefit today. There's a tax benefit in the future in when you withdraw those funds. So how much is that going to cost you? Well, it depends on your overall earnings. If you're single, you make $150,000, it's going to increase your taxes this year by $1,920 if previously you were making and maxing out your catch-up contributions with pre-tax contributions. Now those Roth contributions are going to add about 1920 to your overall taxes this year. If you're single and you're earning $500,000 And now the ability to not make those pre-tax contributions is going to cost you about $2,800. You can see if you are married and you are filing a joint tax return and you're the only income earner. It's hard here to put a spouse on here as well to figure out the math, but if you are a joint tax earner, you're the only earner, and your income is $150,000, then your taxes would go up by $1,760 roughly here in 2026. And it could go up to over $2,500 if you're earning up to $500,000, either between yourself or between you and your spouse. So is this a bad thing? I mean, your taxes for many people are going up. So this sounds like a bad thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. More Roth money is not bad. Having tax-free money that you can withdraw from tends to be a pretty good thing in retirement. Certainly none of the families that we work with that have Roth accounts in retirement are upset about it. It's especially good if taxes raise in the future. Right now, tax rates are relatively low, and there's a good chance that taxes in the future might end up going up. Even in retirement, your tax rates could be higher if tax brackets go up in the future. And that's because the benefit of having more money in a Roth account if taxes go up is a good thing because essentially you're paying taxes today when tax rates are lower, and you're withdrawing that money in the future when taxes are higher, and you're withdrawing that money tax free. It's also a great thing, as we mentioned before, if you're planning to move back to Canada. Tax rates in Canada are almost always going to be significantly higher than they are here in the United States. So if you can get more money into Roth accounts today, paying US taxes, move back to Canada and withdraw the money at that point tax free, that's a fantastic situation for you, especially if you might be subject to the exit tax when you're leaving the US. This could be much less painful than if all of your money is into pre-tax accounts. So, yes, it may be costing you some money here in 2026 on taxes, but it might be saving you in the long term. Let us help you simplify your cross-border retirement plan. 401k planning, both contributions and withdrawals, are a big part of the retirement plan that we put together for our cross-border retirees and those planning to retire. Feel free to schedule a complimentary consultation at the link below, and we can help you put together and discuss your situation to help put together a retirement plan that encompasses both your US and your Canadian retirement accounts and benefits. Thank you.